I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
71%, that's obviously been an issue that Joe Biden's been hitting upon. So these are the three top major factors. So the question is, who do voters trust more on these issues, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Well, on inflation, this is where Donald Trump wants to be playing. Look at that, an 18-point lead over Joe Biden. The economy, another area where Donald Trump would be happy to play ball. Look at that, a 13-point lead in average of polls on the economy for the former president. The only one of those top major factor issues where Joe Biden leads is the state of democracy. Look at that, a 7-point advantage, which is not half bad, but I think if you asked a lot of folks on the Democratic side, they would hope this margin would climb ever higher. And I guess Thursday's debate is a chance for them, or at least a chance for Joe Biden to sort of push that message home.
There's that old adage from James Carville, right? It's the economy, stupid. And that, I think, has some historical precedent. Harry, how has the economy impacted elections in the past?
Yeah, so I went back in time. You know me. I love digging through the polling archives. So I did it earlier today, and I looked back at the polling archives since 1976. And sure enough, I asked, is it always the economy, stupid? Well, the candidate trusted more in the economy has won 8 times since 1976, but actually has lost 4 times since 1976. So, yes, more times than not, the candidate trusted more on the economy wins. But if you ask Donald Trump last time around, did you win the 2020 election? Despite what he says, the actual truth is, no, he did not win that election. And he, of course, was trusted more in the economy. So, yeah, you bat better than you bat worse, but it's far from a guarantee, Boris.
And take us through democracy being a top 3 issue.
This, to me, is one of those interesting questions where, again, I go into that polling archive and I type in these keywords and I go, okay, do we have any polling on the past in this? Well, cycles when presidential polls ask who was better on democracy, there has only been one time when that was asked, and that's this year, 2024.
Imagine creating a whole new category just so Biden can have something to have a lead on. This is the ridiculousness that I'm talking about. Welcome, guys. I want to preview the Trump-Biden debate and kind of highlight some topics that will be on top of mind. So on the CNN intro that you saw right there, the top 3 issues, according to CNN's polls, was inflation, the economy, and democracy. And as you saw from the intro, democracy was the first time ever that people got polled on this question. And to me, it's like, you guys are trying to create a category that most people don't care about, right? Let's get back to the basics, because this is my problem with the mainstream media. You want to ask people about democracy, and people say, oh, they feel a threat. Well, democracy, who's currently in charge right now? Who's currently being accused of having politically motivated attacks against their political opponent or political rival? Biden is. Who is expressing a 2-tier justice system? I don't care if you don't agree with me or you feel like Trump was guilty of something. He wasn't guilty of hush money trial. I know that for sure. He made a porn star sign an NDA, and Donald Trump categorized that as a legal expense. The New York court don't agree with him and charged him with fraud or felony. Falsifying business records. How would you categorize paying your lawyer money? How would you categorize that? And Trump wasn't the first one to do something like this. What's his name? I forgot his name. Bill Clinton, $850,000 while he was president. Like, y'all created, like, and the funny part is the main point of why people think this was politically motivated is because this was past the statute of limitations. You're charging him something now that he supposedly did 8 years ago. Make that make sense. But it's not politically motivated according to Democrats. Only a Democrat will believe that. But yeah, Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. Okay. For me, the real list goes like this: inflation, economy, border, crime. That's my list. That's my list that I think affects every single American. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, whatever you are. Those issues affect you more than the issues of threat to democracy, because that's a very subjective poll in my view anyway, right? And I think also in the debate, here's one of the things I think Biden has to watch out for, is that if he gets caught in a lie, which he gets caught often. I mean, Biden made a claim that when he came into office, inflation was 9%. When you look at the facts, inflation was like under 2% when Biden came into office. So everything that when Biden campaigned, they're bragging about, oh, we brought down inflation. Inflation that happened under their administration. Inflation is down since 2022. Who was president in 2022? Biden. Who was warned by other economists. And this is the funny part. Before I let you see this video, there's a clip I want you to see. Biden was warned that when he passed his version of the stimulus package, it was going to cause rampant inflation because of the fact that people were going to work again. The economy was opening up again. Therefore, he was going to overheat the economy. But Biden didn't care because he saw it as a political win to say, hey, I need to pass my own version of the stimulus package, even if the American people don't need it, because I can't let Trump be the only one to pass a stimulus package. And then he wants to quote experts, when in reality, he probably quoted experts that was aligned with him politically. That is something that I think Americans, I'm not talking about Biden and Trump this time, Americans, you guys need to watch out for this. Because this guy, before 2022, before we hit 2 back-to-back negative GDP growth, which would have signaled a recession in 2022, all these economists ran out there and redefined what a recession was. And then they're going to sit here and get mad at Americans when majority of us believe that we are currently in a recession, the economy isn't strong, and then the mainstream media is going to wiggle their fingers at you and say, you're falsely believing that we are or the economy is weak. Look at the job numbers, which is mostly created by government spending, which will also increase inflation. Same guy, Biden, forgave student loans, which many are contributing 27% of inflation due to the fact that he did that. Because you're using taxpayer money to absolve people of personal responsibility. You're artificially holding up your job numbers by spending government money. You're not actually producing real jobs. And I'll highlight more into that, but those are some of the things I think Americans need to watch out for and need to be skeptical of when they throw around these numbers, because this is what the economists claim in 2022. Let's take a look.
15 recipients of the Nobel Prize in Economics released a letter in support of the president's Build Back Better plan,
including 4 Nobel Prize winners recently highlighted in an open letter.
17 Nobel laureates who have conveyed this will help address inflation.
14 Nobel laureates in economics said it'll actually bring down the cost. It will reduce the deficit, and it will totally paid for, and it's going to reduce inflation. 17 Nobel laureates in economics. 15 Nobel laureates in economics released a letter yesterday. 17 Nobel Prize winners in economics have said, spontaneously wrote to me together, and 14 Nobel laureates in economics wrote to me telling me that it will also diminish the impact of inflation. And I told you about the impact of the 17 Nobel laureates saying it's going to decrease inflation, not increase it. And this is from 15 Nobel laureates in economics. Quote, because this agenda, the one I'm talking about, mine, the 17 Nobel winners of the economics have written a letter just about 3 weeks ago to me affirming that this bill would ease long-term inflationary pressures. 14 Nobel laureate economists in economics saying this is going to what I'm proposing to reduce the inflation.
And as you saw from the intro, many experts said, "Oh, this would have happened. Biden's plan is good. Biden's plan is great." It seems like the Democrats, and they have they don't live in reality. They try to make reality bend to their worldview, when in reality is the other way around. Your worldview bends to reality. And here's an example. Argentina logs first week with no inflation in food prices in 30 years. I remember I quote tweeted this and I said, Biden, please take notes, because currently he's in office. And a lot of the Democrats are spazzing because Donald Trump has threatened to remove the Department of Education. But what's the point of the Department of Education when it is literally filling the kids' heads with garbage, right? They're teaching kids to worry about transgenderism, which is something that doesn't disproportionately affects people. And you also can say that pushing this stuff introduces kids to a lifestyle that will make them more prone to suicide, and long-term ramifications, which many European countries outside of the U.S. are looking into and starting to find out. Hey, look, we're setting these kids up for a harsh life. And the only difference between a conservative and a liberal on the issue of transgenderism is how to treat it. A conservative believe that you have to accept the reality that you are who you are, while the left thinks no, the best treatment is to make make you believe you are what you are and do everything possible to make you closer to your expectations of what you think you are and not accepting who you really are. Conservatives are always based on natural law. How you came into this world is how you're going to leave for the most part. And the Department of Education is a big factor in this. Another reason why a lot of conservatives agree with Donald Trump on removing the Department of Education is make it make sense that you spend more money on a service, you expect the service quality to improve, but it degrades. And many reasons for why the money that we invest into schools, I think we invest like billions of dollars into the public school system. The reason why it always dwindles or the quality suffers is because the administration soak up all that, all the money that doesn't go into the service itself, not into the teachers, not into the curriculums, just the administrators who create the curriculums. The Department of Education is also, I could say, is ideologically dominated by Democrats. This is why Democrats are more prone to defend the Department of Education. But it's not inherently a bad thing to say, hey, we need to cut out bloat. We're investing so much money into this. Let every state decide their education curriculum, just like in Roe v. Wade, Donald Trump allowed every state to decide how they want to approach abortion. If you're a state that wants 9-month abortion, California, New York, go ahead and have it. If you're other states and you want to ban abortion, go ahead, have at it. But if Biden says this lie, which I feel like he is going to say this lie, that Donald Trump wants to ban abortion across the board, he's lying, because Donald Trump already stated that he already solved the issue. His thing was, hey, pro-lifers, they needed an opportunity to negotiate on the table because Roe v. Wade gave an unfair advantage to pro-choicers or pro-abortion people, is because it mandated that abortion has to be there across the board. That's not fair to the argument, especially when it's based on some wishy-washy subjective crap like what is the perception of the fetus, which just means human offspring, aka your child. There's no escaping that. You got women calling their child a clunk of cells to give themselves a perception that they can kill it. And this is the folly of the abortion issue. And I think people who will vote for Biden based on democracy, abortion, climate change, those to me are one issue voters, and they're always going to go that way anyway. But things that actually affect us in general, our day-to-day lives, crime, inflation, the economy, hell, even the border at this point, because in June, how many stories came out of illegals just disrespecting law, hurting our citizens? These are things I think Biden, if he wants to win, he has to stay away from. But even on the social issues, I think Biden's going to have a hard time trying to justify, why we should give trans and LGBTQ people more rights than the average person. One of the ways I'll counter this is say, hey, can you tell me when straight month is? Oh, there is no straight month. Okay, so why are we celebrating people for their sexuality, but you want equality, but that seems like a privilege. That seems like superiority. It seems like you have more rights. You want to be glorified because of who you sleep with. We don't do that for straight people. Why are we doing that for other groups of alternative sexual orientation? That's not equality. That's not representation. Right? So, hey, if he makes it a social issue, I think Donald Trump has a good chance. But let's get back to the clip that I wanted to highlight to you, which is Donald Trump wanting to disband the Department of Education.
And I will shut down the federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the states where it belongs and where they can individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
Individualize education, the same way that Donald Trump wanted to individualize abortion. If a Democrat says Donald Trump wants an abortion ban, they're lying. Donald Trump says, leave it up to the states. And this is one of the reasons why I would vote for Trump, is because I want a decentralized government. The federal government is stretching itself too thin. It's not good at this. It's not good at deciding moral, ethic issues. And when people say they want to regulate something, replace regulation with control, because that's the reality. You want to control education. And how is it fair that we let a bunch of people in D.C. control regulation? Control education. Socialists warn about this all the time. They say he who controls the children controls the education, controls the children. And if you can control the children, you control the future. This is some of the ills, and I'm showing you the outcomes of these policies because I think this is what Americans should focus on. What are the outcomes? I just showed you a clip of the outcome of economists. 14 Nobel Prize winner says that my bill will help fight inflation. Has the rates come down yet? No. So stop trusting experts because experts are just as biased, just as flawed as you and me. And that's the reality I think a lot of Americans need to come to terms with. An expert is merely someone who's just more specialized in a certain field than you are, but doesn't mean that bias doesn't play a part into it. I have numerous examples of how bias is bleeding into everyday work processes. Look at journalism. They're goddamn near propagandists at this point. Politically misinformation, disinformation experts are overwhelmingly to the left. Overwhelmingly to the left. Not a single conservative really is there. They got centrist leaning right people as disinformation experts. You got WEF saying the biggest thing they're worrying about is not climate change, this issue they love to push, not poverty, not world poverty. No. It's disinformation, misinformation, aka anything that goes against our worldview. And this is something that liberals need to really tackle because when they casually throw around misinformation, people just be like, "Oh, you're just mad. I disagree with you. You can't really argue the evidence that I brung up in the debate. So you're gonna say I'm misinformed, aka trying to hurt my character." And this is some of the tactics I think will not work. Because you see it every time Biden comes out here trying to tell people the economy is strong. People don't like hearing that. Because those liberals, the only way they know how to debate is to gaslight you. That's what I'm starting to notice. Even in my comment section, they do this crap. They say you're not really black. Oh, you lack empathy. Who gives a damn about empathy? Is it true or is it false? And this is because of the education system. And this is why I'm a big favor of the Hispanic Department of Education. Because I don't think I ever met a teacher that can teach my kids better than me. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. Because they ain't gonna go through the information like I'm gonna go through the information. They probably don't even have the time to go through the information. And then when people say, yeah, school choice, lower schools, lower attendance, they cry because they know that's taxpayer money that's leaving out the door. Like, look how inefficient the government runs things. For on average, the government spends about $6,000 on taxes per kid. So per kid, the government spends $6,000 per kid. Homeschool person, give or take, $600 a year to spend on the curriculum for their kids and them teaching their kids by themselves. Wouldn't it be more cost effective? Like, this is what happened when, like, you think about it in terms of an economic, hey, how can we make our tax dollars stretch? The government is not incentivized to think this way. They're incentivized to justify why they should regulate a certain industry. I see the same thing with, look, it's 10 times the cost to educate one child. When if the parents took ownership of educating their child, it would be $600. That's $6,000 that the government doesn't have to spend, and that money can be reallocated somewhere else. Now, I understand people want a common, curriculum. That's fine, but school choice makes education higher quality because it introduces what? Competition. It gives the parents and our citizens more options. It doesn't regulate a child to a poor education just because of where he was born. Your location has more to do with your outcomes than your race. But I'm telling you, this is why I think Trump is going to win the debate. The only way Trump loses the debate is only optically. That's the only way Trump loses this debate. So if he starts, interrupting Biden, which he can't because they're muting his mic, right? I think if this is all Trump has to really do. Answer when called upon, stay calm, stay cool, and make them look biased, make them look rampant, make them look unhinged. Because I think if Dick Tapper or the moderators have this, if it seems obvious that they're treating Trump differently from Biden, Trump wins the debate hands down, at least optically anyway. But if anyone try to argue, Biden can win on the issues, on the policies, I think you're smoking something. Or I think you're heavily Democrat. Because at the end of the day, the only way you can say he wins on the issues is if he's pointing at things that you prioritize over other Americans. And that's how humble I am. I say back, hey, look, I believe these things affect most of Americans. I think most Americans have a vested interest in these things. I already stated it earlier in this video. education is a big problem in our country because we have a lot of people who lack critical thinking. Let's play this clip.
Yet districts are eliminating advanced classes in the name of equity, claiming that gifted and talented programs are racist if enrollment doesn't mirror community demographics. In schools where AP classes have been eliminated, parents have watched their children regress to the level of their least able classmate. Brilliant students are discouraged from getting too far ahead because inequity perpetuates systemic racism. Hard work, objectivity, and self-reliance are traits that made the American economy the envy of the world. Yet now those characteristics are derided as white supremacy. Yet districts are eliminating.
See, and that's the problem I have. You don't call the NBA black supremacy because a bunch of black guys are winning in it or overrepresented in it. This is why a lot of people wanted the Department of Education disbanded. Not because they want to, like, for instance, like, the funny part about Democrats, and this is, I'll end my point here, is that they defend the Department of Education like as if it's actually doing some good, if it has actual good outcomes. In reality, it's merely used as a centralized way to push Democrat propaganda to the future of our, to the students of America. Look at where they're teaching. They're teaching about transgenderism, activism, right? But they don't teach them how to think, how to question ideas, how to verify ideas, how to see if an idea is tenable or not. School doesn't teach them that. But they have the goal to defend the Department of Education as if it had good outcomes in the first place. All it did is made it easier to regulate and control the curriculums and educations across the state, which is not the job of the federal government. That's the job of the state. That's a state issue. Anyone who tries to frame it any other way is lying. Oh, expert says to protect Department of Education. Whoa, Democrat experts? That's the question you should follow up with. What kind of experts are saying this? What is the alternative view on this issue? I think that's where our debate should be going. Joe Biden's climate law has already created more than 300,000 clean job energies, a new analysis found. My problem with this is he spent taxpayer dollars to do this. This is when people are saying that the economy's propped up. The job numbers are overstated, according to the federal chair, Jerome Powell, AKA, hey, we're leading in with this number, but it's not necessarily good. I'll end the video off with this clip here with what is possibly going to be one of the talking, like the argument lines that Joe Biden may go down to.
So yes, eggs and milk, and there were grocery things that were up. It has gone down. It has gone down since 2022. Gas prices, because of the actions that this president took, and let's not forget there was an invasion, but Russia did obviously into Ukraine.
That's one thing that I think the reason why the administration want war so much is that it's easier to blame things on a war. Oh, look, gas prices was up because of Putin. And the gas prices went down because Biden went into the strategic oil reserve, which in the long term will still hurt us. We're still going to be paying a lot of gas. And especially that we lost the petrodollar, right? We lost our agreement with Saudi Arabia where they only traded their oil with US dollars. So that means there'll be more inflationary impact on us when it comes to gas anyway. And the fact that Biden emptied out our strategic oil reserve, he has to refill that again on top of what's already happening. No, we're setting up for an even bigger issue. Like all their policy seems to do is kick the bucket down the can. Delay accountability, delay the outcomes of these bad policies as long as we can. But like a rubber band, the longer you delay, the harder the hit's going to be. And I think this is where the impact a lot of Americans are not paying attention to. I digress.
That caused gas prices to tick up. The president took action, tapped the SPR, and we saw gas prices go down. The president has met the moment with every issue that we have had in front of us. So yes,
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of speculation people's going to have about this debate. Will Biden stutter? Will Biden have a Mitch McConnell moment? Will Biden be coherent? Will Biden come out hyper? Everything's about Biden, as you know this. And the only thing the thing people are going to worry about Trump is, does he articulate himself well? Does he not interrupt? Does he, he keeps himself optically neutral, right? Presidential, right? Because that's the only thing I think that could hurt Trump in the debate is his optics. That's it. Because he knows he's in enemy territory, so they're going to find any opportunity to try to spin anything he says in a negative way. And I think as long as Trump is mindful of that, I think Trump will have a strong showing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, what you think, how the debate is going to turn out tomorrow. I already gave you my thoughts. I would like to hear some of yours in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.